All right. Hello, my name is Neo. I'm an Eternity tank player. I've peaked 25th in the leaderboards. I frequently peak top 500. I don't end there for various reasons. Some of them are skill. But my goal is to create a tier list to help people understand the shift that's happened in the meta, to understand the game, and to maybe do a little bit of an analysis of the characters and how they fit. Over the last season and a half, there's been a major shift in the gameplay loop in Rivals. It's gone from a heavy ult cycle meta, where the main thing we're doing is tracking ultimates, ulting, and whichever team usually ults better, they're going to win. We've had a drastic decrease in ultimates and a drastic buff in neutral, meaning, for the most part, there's been a big shift in characters that rely on these ults to go down and characters that don't rely on them to go up. And that naturally leads us to a more dive heavy net meta because dive characters usually don't build their ults as quickly as DPS because as poke characters, sorry, because they can't farm their ultimates at range, which obviously the others can. Which means there's a lot more neutral space, there's a lot more dive, there's a lot more brawl, there's a lot more nuance to the gameplay, which is, in my opinion, generally seen as more healthy. Uh, so the first thing in any tier list, it's usually going to be hard to do any sort of multi-layered analysis in these games because we are not giving enough data. The data we are usually given is just win rate and pick rate, which is just two-dimensional. It doesn't tell you matchups. It doesn't tell you team comps, the percentage of the time that the character was played, while it was played, the swaps, the counter swaps, and etc. And similarly, when we are looking at a tier list, we usually only have one dimension, which is just the tiers on the left side, and some people, including myself, we add lineation in the characters along the other axis, meaning character that's pointed to the left side is usually the stronger one, and to the right side is the weaker one, which I will be doing as well. However, this is really uh, rough for newer players or players who just generally don't understand the game at a certain level to understand what does it mean that a character is an S or F. Can I even play this character? When should I play this character? How good are they, and etc. So this type of information is usually hidden in tier lists, not because of any sort of necessity, but probably because of it's just how tier lists are designed in general. They're easy content to make. They're really easy to digest, and that's why they're made. Without any sort of legend telling you what each of the tiers exactly means, you're just gonna think, okay, S, SS, best in slot, S plus, A. These are the characters that are good. Everything else is terrible. We're not gonna play them. There's a lot more nuance, obviously, in any game, right? So the goal of this tier list is to expand on that, give you tiers that are more descriptive, and to discuss the meta a little bit more. Um, than you would usually see. So I am going to go through each of the tiers, explain what they mean, and start going role by role and explaining each character. And one last thing to mention, this is not looking at pro play. Pro play is completely different. There's strategies that teams like to run that are mostly contingent on those teams coordinating specific plays around the characters they're picking. Something that's very rarely going to happen even in top 500 play, right? Top 500 play is a mix of a lot more communication, a lot more combos happening, especially with ultimates, but it's also somebody just wants to play the character they like in top 500 because they're an OTP and stuff like that. So let's go through the tiers and let's look at this high elo ranked ladder tier list. To start off, the first tier and the highest tier is going to be best in slot. What does best in slot means? That means that each of the three roles are going to have one character that stands above the rest, and these characters are going to be a must pick or must ban. If this character is open and your team can't play them and the enemy team can't play them, you are more than likely to lose that game. A perfect example of this is a support, Gambit, who is the best in slot support. We'll get to him later. Whose win rate in neutral matchups, where they're not fighting another Gambit, not a mirror matchup, is 2 out of 3 games that Gambit is going to win. That means in 67% of your matches, if your team has a Gambit, the enemy team doesn't have a Gambit, you're more than likely to win that match. That is what best in slot basically means. This is the character you must pick. They're the strongest character. And then you build the rest of the team comp around this character. Whether it's triple support, whether it's triple tank, whether it's 2-2-2, these are the characters you're going to be building in those slots, right? Next slot is going to be pick and ban. We have 6 bans in Rivals, so you're going to be banning some of the best in slot characters or picking them, and then you're going to need to ban the rest. And then you have to pick something. So what is going to be the best option for us to pick or ban in the game after we've banned out the strongest things in the game, right? After that, we have strong stuff that isn't pick or ban. You don't have to pick these characters to succeed, but they're still going to perform well. You are still going to do really well on these characters because they're strong currently in the meta. After that, it's mediocre. You can still obviously pick these characters, but everything above them is going to be stronger. Everything below them is going to be weaker. After that, we have something that I'm branded as build the comp around this character, or they're a niche character. What does this mean? There's specific spots where this character is going to perform really well. There's specific situations where you can counter swap to this character, where they're going to perform really well. We'll see specific characters later. Or you need to build a comp around this character in order for their weaknesses to be hidden and for their strengths to be shown, right? After that, we have something I labeled OTP, meaning if you are the best players in the world on this character, you are going to be able to hit top 500, perform really well in these high-level lobbies, and you're actually going to be a value to your team, right? There's not that many characters in this game where basically picking them is a throw. I personally think there's only 3, but there could be more. And OTP means if you're a master of this character, you are not going to be hamstrung by picking them in higher elo, while majority of people would. So let's move this to a lower elo. Let's say you are a diamond player, right? If you are a master of something like Black Panther, you're still going to be able, with relative ease, to hit Grandmaster or later Celestial, right? However, that means if you're a master of this character, if you're really good. For example, on Peni, if you know every single lineup, if you know the strats, if you know where to place the nest, where to place the mines behind the enemies to get regular picks on the back line in order to prolong the fights, if you know how to kite correctly, if you know how to stall with her ult and stuff like that. That is the type of stuff that these characters need to perform. Whereas something that is pick or ban, you need a much lower level of skill or adeptness, I would say, in order to perform on them, right? So with that out of the way I'm going to be structuring a tier list is I'm going to go tanks, supports, DPS in order. Inside of each tier, I will order all of the characters inside of their each respective role from left to right, as strongest to weakest, and I'm going to segregate them in roles because it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't make as much sense to compare something like Captain America to something like Rocket. These characters are completely different. They completely serve a different role, aside from their ultimates being similar. And I shouldn't compare whether one character is better or the other, right? If the characters are in pick or ban phase, you can choose during the ban phase who you are going to ban out. If you think a strategist is more scary, or a Vanguard, or a Duelist, etc. So without any further ado, let's start off with the first character here, which is Captain America. Captain America is one of the strongest tanks in the game right now. There's an argument that he is best in slot. There's an argument that he's top 2, but he is undoubtedly a top 3 tank in the game right now. He is incredibly strong because he enables dive as a sort of way to bait out cooldowns, to engage. His burst damage is strongest it's ever been because of the current animation cancels that he has with his shield throw, with his extended primary fire, etc. This makes him incredibly strong in the current meta. His ultimate is always labeled as another support ultimate because it's objectively stronger than something like Rocket ultimate in terms of survivability. On top of that, it allows your entire dive team to be enabled to stay longer inside of the enemy support line, backline, because Captain America can jump to the backline, pop his ultimate, which gives everybody an instant burst of overhealth, and a lot of movement speed to stay in the backline. He is also really self-sufficient because of his incredible survivability. He has two abilities that allow him to cover distances quickly, being his jump slam and his dash. He also has an ability to consistently sprint and survive with his shield. The shield has really good reflect value. It's 350. It is a selfish shield, and it does have a cooldown, but it's really strong in keeping him inside of the fight. Similarly to him, a character like Venom is also in that conversation for top 3 best in slot and stuff like that. Whether you like Venom or Cap more, it kind of depends. I would say Venom enables dive more. He has higher burst damage, higher continuous damage. He can stay in the fight longer than Captain America, stay directly on the supports longer than Cap, because he can have effectively way more HP than Cap. He can also much more easily engage because he can easily take the high ground. He can slam, he can dash out. His usual gameplay loop is on an 8 to 16 second cooldown because his swing, his E, being the overhealth, and his slam are on an 8-second cooldown. The overhealth is on a 16. The slam is on an 8, and the grasp is on an 8-second cooldown. This allows him to really, really easily get on high ground by wall crawling, slam on the backline, pop the grasp, force an ability, be it in lower elo probably Invisible Woman's Push, Cloak and Dagger's Bubble, Loki Lamps even, and then he can just easily swing out, and then he is going to be able to dive back in with his fellow DPS diver or solo and continue to force the enemies with the amount of damage he can do because he has better cooldown management. So that's why Venom is really strong. The debate between Venom and Captain America is Venom has a stronger neutral and better fight presence. Meanwhile, Captain America has a much stronger ultimate ability. Venom does get his ability often, but if the enemies are not to 50 HP or isolated, he's usually not going to be getting off the full damage combo to one-shot them. He needs combos to actually get kills. So it's a little bit more contingent on your team. However, because of Venom's ability to consistently be in the fight, non-stop reset and cycle his cooldowns, he's going to be able to stay in the fight longer than Captain America and get his ultimate more often than Captain America. So there's a little bit of a debate. People saying that Captain America requires a lot of team coordination in order to work in high elo is just completely wrong. Captain America is super self-sufficient. He can isolate, he can create space, and then his ultimate is really good to re-engage. He is a top 3 tank for damn sure. I have skipped best in slot here, but I'm going to discuss it right now. Why these two characters are not best in slot is purely because Rogue with the Gambit team up is the strongest tank in the game. She has such an incredibly strong ult cycle with the team up. She has self-sustain with the team up for the team as well. She has a lot of damage, an incredible amount of mobility, and ability to get back into the backline. With the team up, her burst is also incredibly strong. She has one of the strongest CCs inside of the grab, especially if you couple it with something like an Emma on the front line. You can just destroy the enemy tanks. She has a lot of health, especially when she ults. Her block is also incredible. And a really cool thing about her block is you can pop the block, let's say when a Starlord is ulting, and it's going to lock onto you if you're near your supports. It has a magnetizing effect to projectiles, which is really strong. But the strongest thing about Rogue is that team up. That completely breaks the character and makes her the strongest thing in the game. Why is she best in slot? Well, Gambit is the best in slot support. Rogue is rarely banned. So if Gambit is open, you pick Rogue. That's kind of how it goes. That's why she's best in slot. Other than that, I would say that maybe Venom would be my choice for best in slot because in ranked ladder, he has a better carry potential than Cap, in my opinion. But I think it's just splitting hairs at that point. Next tank that I would like to talk about is Tankpool. He has gotten hit quite significantly in the recent patch. His attack speed on his E is lower now. in Deadpool in your area, which means A, he builds ult slower, B, his burst is slower, C, his DPS is slower. So that really got his main like core source of neutral, which was why he was the best tank in the game by far. He had the strongest neutral in the game, and his ult was a solo win con in the backline because he could ult a support, bubble her off, kill one support, and then just win the fight, snowball off of that. Now that ult is much weaker, it requires coordinated play, and it's mostly there as a disruptor rather than a guaranteed pick on a solo isolated support. But can he still do a lot of that stuff? Yeah. Is he still insanely hard to kill? Yeah. Is he still super mobile? Yep. Is his damage really strong if you're consistently hitting the headshots? Hell yeah. He has amazing neutral still. He did take 20% on nerf on that on the Deadpool in your area and the attack speed, but he is still incredibly strong. Another character that I've been seeing a lot of people mischaracterize as a low tier tank is Strange, which makes no sense to me. Strange's value with the Invisible Woman team up, mind you, in play, because this is what makes him also strong. It enables him a lot. His value comes from the fact that he is a character that has a big shield, which can block heals, block damage. Obviously, he's a shield tank. However, his damage, unlike Magneto's, is really dynamic, AoE, and Brawl. This meta is dive plus Brawl, because Brawl counters dive, so you can Brawl the dive, right? Magneto can't really do that. Magneto can shoot and then slash, shoot and then slash, and so on. Strange, on the other hand, can has his E, the Maelstrom of Madness, which is an AoE ability that does a lot of damage. With Sue's team up, with Invisible Woman's team up, that ability gives him and the teammates Overshield, which is really strong, obviously is anti-dive, and a CC. That CC is genuinely incredible in dealing with any sort of dive character. The only one you could say is kind of not ideal is Daredevil because he can block it, but even then, you can CC Black Panther out of his dash. You can CC Venom out of his swing. You can CC Captain America after or before he uses his dash. You can CC Angela pulling somebody. You can CC the Hulk before he jumps. You can CC him. You can CC Thor, etc. It is incredibly long. He builds ult so quickly. There's so many games where he can end up as highest damage and highest damage blocked on Strange. His ultimate is obviously win con. Ideally, when they don't have an Invisible Woman, which is kind of counterintuitive. You want to have Invis on your team, but you'd want them to not have her, which is kind of awkward because she is the second best support in the game. We'll get to her. So that is kind of unfortunate for Strange. However, he is just incredible. And if you start being a lot more proactive with his teleport, that's also a big win con, which is really important. For example, he can teleport a support at the start of a match in Dominion or Domination. It is incredibly useful. Just pick up either a support or a tank. You're already 5v6 and you brought the fight to the enemy team. You clean up after you win the 5v6, free point. It is so incredibly powerful, and you should be using these more as Strange. He isn't just a portal bot at the end of the round or when we need to touch or something like that. Strange is incredibly strong and incredibly powerful in this game. I don't think he's ban worthy like the other tanks, but he's definitely pick worthy. If you need a brawl shield tank and the enemy doesn't have too much oppressive poke, like something like a Punisher, you can easily slot in Strange there. I think he's best in slot in that type of scenario. As like an off tank, or main tank in this case, to any of these previously mentioned off tanks. Next up, let's go down to the strong tier. The first character I would put here is Hulk. Hulk is really close to being, in my opinion, to that pick or ban phase. I was maining him this season to hit Eternity, and I think he is incredibly powerful now. His bubble is super strong. He builds his ult really quickly. He's super survivable. I've been incredibly surprised by how easy it is to create space, kite, bully the tanks, and just to live on Hulk. I've been ending so many games with like one or two deaths on Hulk over like 20 minutes. It's incredible how much survivability this character has. He is so easy to get value on as well, especially when you get your ult off. If the front line is split and you can get to the back line, you can easily destroy the backline and just get easy kills on the backline. Just combo with your clap, stun, clap, kills anybody. Stun, primary clap, and then, you use the ult. It also one-shots pretty much anybody. It's incredibly strong what this character can do. His main weakness is obviously an incredible amount of CC. His bubble is strong. You can play around the CC. But if you ult and Emma grabs you and there's a Punisher with a shotgun, your ult's doing nothing for that game. So baiting a lot of cooldowns, playing around, a lot around that stuff is going to be difficult on Hulk. And something you're going to see in this tier list is if a character outclasses you, it's going to be hard to put you higher, right? So Strange's shield and his ult is an easier win con than Hulk's. Dive, you would rather have Cap or Venom than a Hulk. So this is the reason why Hulk is going to be slightly weaker, in my opinion. I think he can still be in that pick or ban scenario in ranked. I think the value this character can create by just jumping into the back line, jumping back to the front line, shielding, bubbling, the ability to cancel so many ultimates with just an insta bubble. Jeff ultimate, Starlord ultimate, what's it called? Angel ultimate, hell, even Phoenix ultimate, jumping onto her. There's so much value this character can have. His ult is not the strongest combo ult, but it has a lot of solo carry potential if you get the gold ults off. So, but it's really hard to get, next tank that I would put behind him is a tank that's kind of fallen out of favor currently. He is a brawl tank, which is really good. Putting his wall on your supports gives them a sort of self-peel, which is really good. However, he is an ult bot for the most part, because the way he usually builds ults is by walling off the tanks and just farming damage on the tank and occasionally poking the backline, right? Right now, when we're running dive, and if you look at the tanks above them, Strange has mobility to just get out of those shields, the walls. Deadpool has a lot of mobility. Venom is in your backline. Cap is in your backline. Rogue has a lot of mobility. So you're not going to have that many opportunities to just put a wall behind the tank and farm damage on them. You're not going against Mags that much. You're not going against Sting that much. Or Emma, somebody who's stationary that you can just farm damage off of. Which means he's going to be getting his ult much later. Which means usually, especially in triple support comps, he's not going to be getting that value of your support, of your ults. Especially if you try to pair him with the usual pairing, which is Moon Knight. Moon Knight is going to supercharge the enemy support ults because your kill potential is lower. And then you're just not going to get that combo off to actually kill through the support ults. So there's some issues with Groot. He's still incredibly powerful. And when you do get a team that is built around the Groot, when you go back to the older teams where you're running Groot, Mag, Phoenix, and then triple support, obviously you're going to be getting value on him, but it's going to just be a little bit less than before. Next character, as I mentioned him, Magneto. I think Magneto is still Magneto. I don't think he's ever been top 3 tank because there's always going to be a main tank that's going to do his job better in the current Brawl Dive meta. But it's still Magneto. If they have a lot of poke, you're going to go Magneto. If they have a Punisher, you're going to go Magneto. If they have a Phoenix, you're going to go Magneto. It just kind of... He's just the quintessential tank. He enables a lot. He's an enabling type of character. Bubbling your DPS, saving your supports with bubbles, ulting to counter the enemy support or DPS ults or anything. His ultimate is also really good for creating just raw space. If you're under a lot of pressure, or if you're putting a lot of pressure to just cut off the healing, it's really good. But it's Magneto. He has 10 of his pokes. Then he reloads. It's slow. He can't really do much against dive because, you're getting dough and Magneto's like, have a bubble. Good luck, which is not really good in here. And his brawl is not that good, which is why Strange outclasses him. However, Magneto is not weak by any measure. He has a one-shot 250 combo. He has really good poke, especially if you target the backline. His ultimate is still one of the strongest tank ultimates, so Magneto still has a lot of value. Next tank I would like to put in strong here is somebody that's really close to me, which is Thor. I am a little bit of a Thor main, but I still think Thor is incredibly strong in this meta. I think Hulk can create more value than Thor purely because Thor's ultimate is terrible. Thor's ultimate provides absolutely no value because it can be countered by any shield or just simply running away from it. If he doesn't get the slow on you, jumping, fading on Cloak and Dagger, he is just terrible in terms of ultimates. And in a meta where your ultimates matter more now because you get less of them, Thor is going to be struggling a little bit more. Even though his neutral is actually incredible, he doesn't have a shield to sustain the amount of damage. In a really heavy dive comp, he is really good as anti-dive. However, usually when we have dive, the best course of action is hoping your supports survive longer and a little bit of brawl while you outdive the enemy backline. So just pure brawl is not that strong. And when you're purely brawling, if they have any sort of poke, Strange is going to do better because Strange just has an infinitely better ult than Thor. His ult also stuns, but for longer and can one shot easily without any combo, just Strange on his own, which Thor cannot do. Thor requires combos. Something that is good about Thor though, Luna's back in the meta. Thor's really good with Luna damage boost on top of a Luna. But again, Invis can jump out of it. She's the best. Gambit, you're never getting your ult off on Gambit unless he's just wasting his cooldowns. So yeah, Thor has a lot of issues, but in neutral, he's really strong. He's great into Magneto. He's great into Hulk. Great into Venom. Great into Cap. Great into Rogue. Unless she has the team up, then like that matchup becomes a losing one. He's good into tank pull because he can actually beat tank pull in 1v1s isolated and pressure him. He's obviously great into Strange. Great into Angela. Great into Peni. Stake on off angle. Great into Emma once you bait out the diamond, but which is becoming harder now because it's on a shorter cooldown. And he's obviously good into Thing if you just burst him down, if you have good burst in your team. But Thing is a little bit of a counter. So yeah, I think Thor is still strong. I think you can still get value on Thor, but there's obviously better picks, especially if you're running dive. You don't want to run dive with Thor if there's Cap, Venom, tank pull open, you know? There's just no reason. Next up, I will say Angela. I'm going to drop her into mediocre. Mostly because a lot of stuff above her does really great into her. Rogue is good into her. Strange with the team up is good into her. Venom doesn't really care about her. Cap doesn't really care about her. Hulk counters her. Thor hard counters her. And then you just have the Mag and Groot. So she isn't really a tank bully anymore. And that 6-second window on her dash being reset now is a little bit of like hurting her neutral because she cannot bait out cooldowns with the dash and then re-engage. She has to be a lot smarter with it, and she needs to dive. But if we're diving, why would we go Angela when Cap and Venom are open? And when Invisible Woman is open, and she is arguably a top 2 support right now, fighting with Gambit for number 1, there's just no reason to play Angela. She gets hard shut down by just Invisible Woman. Next up, we have Emma. Emma has been really struggling for the past few seasons. However, the buffs she's received, the nerfs to the meta, have really helped her. Her biggest issue was that her diamond form, which is her core, is really weak in terms of the 20-second cooldown or whatever it was before. Now with that 18-second cooldown, you can cycle her abilities a lot better. She has a lot more stopping power, and she gets rolled really quickly, which is really good counter ult and really good win con. Especially if they don't have that many shields. And in this dive meta, they're not going to have, so you have an open backline to shoot. And obviously, that diamond form is really strong at shutting down something like Venom or Cap if you can grab them. So, like, there's potential to Emma. After that, we're going to have Thing. I don't think Thing is that good into countering dive. You have your dash. Once your dash is down, you're kind of just a punching machine that's good at beating tanks, and you're not beating tanks that much in the backline. A good thing is obviously going to take the shift, but then you're like immobile mostly, so you're giving up a lot of space. It's really hard to like hold space on Thing and peel at the same time unless you're like really deeply brawling. And it's generally really easy to bait out that cooldown. Once that cooldown is down, Thing is just going to get bursted. And he's countered by like every single poke DPS in the game. He's just a old bot. Or like old charge bot. And finally, the worst tank in the game, in my opinion, is Peni. I do think you can get value out of this character. I do think she's an absolute terrorist in ranked because people don't overly think in ranked. They're just gonna gonna randomly walk like NPCs and walk into mines. All of us have done it. Sci-Fi has done it. Everybody's done it. So a Peni that knows really good spots where people are gonna walk, that aimless walk, you're just walking at a spawn, not paying attention, and just get blown up by a Peni. That's going to happen a lot. Giving her 4 webs increases the area that she can deny, which is really good for her. And she's actually really much better anti-dive now than before, because the amount of overhealth and healing she can provide with the area coverage is actually really big for her. So I think OTPs of Peni are easily hitting top 500, but she gives up a lot of space to do this. She's good on holds, but she's not that good at flanking anymore because of the lower base HP. So it's much easier to bully her. Once you take out the nest, she's much, much weaker. And once you figure out her spots and her traps, she's much easier to figure out. And the 3-second cooldown on a stun is really annoying. So that would be your tank tier list. From left to right, strong to weak. Next up, we're going to be talking about supports. And obviously, you cannot talk about supports without talking about Gambit. This character is still absolutely broken. His ult is an easy win con. And he just presses Q. If your team walks W and has an ulti combo, you're going to team wipe and win the game. His neutral is also really strong. He is super good at surviving, and his base healing is super, super good. He also has a lot of damage. He can provide a lot of offense. He's just a strong character. There's not much to talk about Gambit. He is just the quintessential win con. And honestly, I really need to see him weakened. I don't know how. He is super fun to play and to play with. It's just so oppressive where you need to ban Gambit. You need to pick Gambit, or you just lose the game. And Gambit games become so oppressive because it goes back to that ult swap, because whoever ult combos with the Gambit better is going to win the neutral fights, which is annoying. The obvious pick for the second best support is Susan Storm. She has so much utility, does so much damage, and heals incredibly strong, especially in a dive brawl comp. If she is close to her tanks into a dive comp, she can build her ult so quickly, peel for herself, CC anything, cancel so much stuff, create so much kill potential, 1v1 so many characters in the game. She is incredibly strong, and she has probably top 2 neutral of any support. It's her or White Fox, because White Fox melee form is also incredibly broken. She is up there with those characters. She is insane currently. And I think she has the highest pick rate of any character in high elo. I think it's like almost 70% or over 70% pick or ban, which is genuinely insane. This character is quintessential pick or ban. Genuinely broken, needs nerfs. Like, if Sue is open, you're not playing her, you're genuinely throwing as a support. That's kind of the bottom line. Next up, I would put White Fox. I think this character is slept on because people play her as that like main heal body support. The amount of damage this character has and the amount of solo kill potential she has is insane. Her melee form is insanely hard to kill. It's one of the strongest 1v1 abilities in the game. On top of that, having a insta dash, insta blink away, teleport away, which gives, that over shield immunity, whatever. And on top of all of that, she has an insta CC with her right click. The only weakness this character has is her ult being susceptible to a lot of CC and displacement. Something like Angela can displace her. Hulk hard counters her ultimate with his ultimate. And she can be bursted really, really quickly down, because if she is not clapping on top of the enemy team and your team, she is not providing enough value with her ultimate. So that is a W key ultimate, and it's easy to counter. Like a Spidey pull off, any sort of displacement or CC is just going to melt this character incredibly fast. So that's her only weakness. Without that, she might even be above Susan Storm. Another surprise pick here would be Ultron, in my opinion. I think Ultron is insanely strong. Why? Neutral is insanely strong. What does that mean? Ultron drones are just giving so much healing to everything, because in dive and brawl, poke isn't that strong, so slow passive healing is going to get a lot of value, especially with his overshield. And majority of dive is melee and not, able to fly that easily. So Ultron can just sit up, have a really strong poke beam, and just get a lot of value that way. And obviously, his ultimate can now kill through support ultimates. Can kill through Mantis, destroys Rocket Beacon, can kill through Captain America ult, can kill through Susan Storm ult, which is really, really strong. Those are some of your best characters. And if a Gambit is CC, you can kill through Gambit as well. So Ultron's really strong this meta, especially because he enables so much on the backline. Like, imagine having a triple support with Invisible Woman, um, Fox, and Ultron with a Gambit being banned. That is insanely, insanely oppressive because they're just never going to die, even like no matter how much dive you throw at them, and they can out sustain any sort of poke you have. So like, it's a really strong backline. Right there is the queen of triple support herself, Mantis. I think her and Ultron are like interchangeable. She gives a lot of damage boost, and she's a W key poke mostly character. She is a little bit more susceptible to die, but she is picking triple support, which kind of counteracts that. And she has a lot of kill potential on her own, which is really, really good. Next up, we're obviously going to have Jeff. He is the poster child of enabling dive. I would say Fox is better now. I think Jeff's piss across the map is a strong ability, but Fox can dive with the diver even stronger, and her melee form is just going to make her not die and brawl and do more damage directly. Jeff's damage nerf did hit him down a little bit, but he still has incredibly strong team-ups with Venom and Deadpool. Deadpool team-up makes him unkillable. Venom team-up makes your team unkillable. So it's really, really strong. And the piss is just still annoying. His ultimate, like, I think his weakest part of his kit is his ultimate. You actually actively don't want to ult on Jeff sometimes because it's just going to be losing you the fight unless you know you have other stuff to use during that window. Next up, we're going to have a drop down in tiers. We're going to go down to Loki. The reason I think Loki is weaker is mostly because Gambit Loki has taken a little bit of a hit because I think Susan Storm's ult is a little bit stronger and her neutral is stronger than Loki's. On top of that, Loki Mantis Groot was a big, big part of that core of triple support with Groot. Groot is now weaker, like I mentioned before, so that's going to be brought down a little bit. And also, when you're dealing with dive and a lot of mobile characters in the enemy backline, you can't really support them on Loki because his shots are really slow projectiles and they can be blocked by almost anything. So it's going to be really hard to set up and properly heal. He's obviously still incredibly strong. I just don't think he is the pick or ban or close to best in slot like he was before because his main value was getting his ult before Gambit and then getting the Gambit cycle going. That isn't as oppressive anymore. I feel like Sue is still better. But still, the Gambit Loki comps are still going to be incredibly strong. And I think there can also be an argument of him being pick or ban. A surprise arrival of the queen of Marvel rivals. Luna Snow is absolutely broken, but as a DPS. She is the best flank DPS in the game. I think only rivaled by Psylocke because of the double dashes Psylocke has. Luna Snow can two-shot 350 targets. That is a broken. Her stun is incredibly strong. 2 headshots, you're dead. Whatever character you are, you're just dead. Luna Snow is incredibly, incredibly strong now. And because you can triple support, because you're diving, you don't need that many heals down main, Luna can flank and get all of this value. This character is insanely strong and super fun this season. I am really, really high on Luna. I think Luna is a top tier pick. She's obviously not as strong as Invis, but with Gambit ban, maybe Invis ban, you can easily slot her in triple support. She provides so much damage and kill potential, which is why a character like Hela has become terrible. Because why would you ever pick Hela, who can barely two-shot 250 when you can just go Luna? She has more mobility, she's faster, doesn't have the CC immunity, but she has way more survivability. Her ultimate is better than Hela's, and she just does so much more damage. Luna is just basically better Hela. Luna is incredible, and I'm honestly glad that she is back in this state. She's not a heal bot. She's a DPS bot in a support. She's basically better Mantis in terms of actual DPSing. I enjoy that character so much. Next up, in Mediocre, we're going to have Cloak and Dagger. The ult nerf is really big. The main reason we're picking this character is because her bubble is broken. It instantly heals half of your HP. And because she had the strongest or longest ultimate ability in the game, which gave her the ability to kite out so many ults. She doesn't have that anymore, so she's obviously going to be much weaker. You bait out the bubble with dive, soft dive again, then you can fight Cloak and Dagger. The fade is also not the fade. The cloak wall is still strong, but again, we're not playing around ult battles that much, so ult canceling isn't that valuable like before. I mean, obviously it's still, but like that ult combos with the damage boost and stuff like that is a little bit less likely. But still, the character is good. It's just she's outclassed by half the fucking roster. I don't think there's a reason to pick Cloak. I really don't think there's a reason to ban Cloak anymore. Her ult's also relatively easily counterable, so yeah. Um, Next up, we have comp dependent or niche. Adam Warlock, the 15% healing nerf that he got when he lost the Luna team up and got the Storm team up was really weird to me. And you can definitely feel it. He is definitely less survivable. He builds his ult slower now, especially with the changes in the nerfs. And his damage is really good still. The soul bone's really good. The flight is helpful, but the character just does feel a lot weaker than before. And I do think that's mainly because of the healing nerf and the stuff like that. But you can still have scenarios where you're going to be playing around the fact that your team is going to die, Adam's going to res, then we're going to have another whole fight. Those moments and those comps are really going to be strong. And Adam is still an incredibly strong flanker. But again, why pick Adam? We have Luna Snow. Another character that's niche or comp dependent, I would say, is Rocket. Rocket has the worst support ultimate by far. Captain America ult's better. Unless you're building to damage boost combo somebody or use his ult with a Punisher ult to like team wipe, you're not getting much value out of Rocket. His heals are not as strong. There's better healing options. His res beacon is also another one of those win cons in the niche moments you're going to pick him. But in general, why would you ever pick Rocket? There's so many better picks. Like, anything above him is so much better. It's going to give you more value, better support ultimate, better time to heal, more burst, more damage. And in a meta where supports need to be doing damage, because look, Gambit has a lot of damage, Suit has an insane amount of damage, Fox can one-on-one anybody, Ultron has a lot of poke, Mantis has a lot of damage, Jeff has a lot of continuous damage, even Loki does damage, Luna is a DPS, even Cloak does damage. Rocket, who's usually played with a character that does a really low amounts of damage, is not going to be excelling that much in this meta. And I left Heal Pool here for last because I think he is kind of slept on. This character does not fucking die. If you're diving Heal Pool and he has his cooldowns up, he's just going to survive almost anything. His biggest weakness is that he has one of the weaker support ultimates, and that like flat cooldown of 60 is kind of awkward to play around. It was much easier when it was 40 to just kind of spam it. But the amount of self-sustain this guy has and the amount of dive enabling and countering he can do is incredibly strong. Definitely a strong character. Sorry about that. Okay. Next up, we're going to be going to the DPS side. So definitely, Stratpool is definitely a character you should be picking up in that slot when you have Invis and Foxband in a triple support slot where he's going to be that pseudo DPS brawler in the backline is really good. Now, the biggest roster with with the most weak characters in the game. Let's start off with best in slot. This is going to be unpopular, but soon enough, you're going to definitely be seeing Black Cat as the strongest DPS in the game. The amount of kill potential this character has is incredible. Her skill ceiling is basically like through the roof. Why? Because of the shop abilities. She has invisibility, grounding, self-teleport, what's called ability wall hacks basically. She has so many abilities and so many tools in her kit while having a really fast combo, while one of her dashes inside of her combo makes her invincible, banishes her, and her ultimate persists after death. She can continuously change her ultimate. If she starts rolling, she is going to continuously keep staggering your team unless you wait out her cooldown and just like panicking and survive. She is by far, I would say, the most broken dive character we've ever received. She is by far stronger than release prime Daredevil, and I think she's even stronger than Elsa Bloodstone on release. This character is absolutely nuts. However, her skill ceiling is so insanely high. To reach the full potential of this character, you're going to need a lot of hours on her, a lot of practice. Even the pros are going to need a lot of time on this character. But once they do, this character is going to be absolutely busted. And then we go to Black Panther. Basically, the previous Black Cat, and he is still terrible. The quality of life he received, the lower cooldown to spear, amazing. The multi-directional kick, amazing. He is better. Dive is better. He's outclassed by almost, if not every single diver in the lobby in the game. But his burst is really good. His pick potential is really good, and he has more mobility now. So you can definitely OTP this character and get him to one above all. I know multiple people who have done this, like Haunt, like Realm, and stuff like that. But is he good? No. Was he ever good? No. People just didn't know how to deal with him. You mark him, and he is the easiest dive DPS to mark, and he just doesn't have enough ability to brawl once the dive fails, like every single other dive character can. His escape ability is tied to his damage and his main combo, unlike other dive characters. Like, for example, look at Black Cat. Even if she burns both of her dashes, which is 20 seconds of cooldown, she can infinitely chain invisibility. She can prepare a portal. She can also use invincibility frames, and she can brawl you and just outright kill you. Same goes with Daredevil. He can deflect. He gets overshield. He can kite with his dash, like the crosses, which launch him forward. He can obviously shift out with his grapple, and he has more HP. Like, there's so many characters that are just better than Black Panther. They just outright outclass him by so much. Next to him, we have Black Widow. Do not pick this character. I don't care who you are. I don't care how good you are. Don't pick this character. There's like 3 Black Widows who can OTP this character into one above all, but she is so much worse than Black Panther. In even in that, she is the easiest DPS to counter. She needs a comp build around her, which BP doesn't, by the way. She's just so incredibly bad, and this character just needs a rework. Like, she has a jump, a kick, and a gun. That's it. Rework this character or remove her from the game. She just doesn't bring anything to rivals at this point in her state. Next up is, in my opinion, the second best DPS. If Black Cat is banned, which is going to start getting banned, this is your best in slot DPS, Daredevil. If you're running dive, this is going to be your dive. Like I mentioned before while talking about Black Panther, everything applies. He can brawl. He does a lot of damage. His ult's a really good win con. His ult really combos well with something like Venom. Venom pops his ult. DD goes in. You're wiping the backline. He combos really well with Gambit. He combos really well with Rogue. He combos well even with Strange ult. He is just incredibly strong. And this is and listen, he has wall hacks. Same thing as Black Cat. Wall hacks is just incredibly broken. The ability to give your team consistent information of where the enemy team is, what they are doing, is just broken. It's just insanely strong, and that just enables dive so much better. Next up, we have Blade, who has received some buffs lately, which I think makes him niche enough, right? Why does this make him niche enough? Well, Blade's only spot to be picked is into triple support to anti-heal. And he can actually do that to help enable dive, because dive and brawl is good. So that is, I think, where you're going to be seeing this niche for Blade. But it's really, really niche. But I think this character does have a little bit of a spot in the meta. He still needs a lot more work in order to be good. And I feel like what they need to do is just focus on one of his kit mostly and give utility to the other part of it. Make him a proper stance finisher. Make the gun utility. Make the blade damage. And I think that type of stuff is going to actually make him good. He's in this wishy-washy space. His ultimate is also terrible. You can just walk out of it. Doesn't have enough burst on it. The anti-heal is weaker than any other anti-heal in the game. So, like, Blade needs work, but I think you can make this character work. I think there's potential in this character. Similarly, I think Deadpool, DPS Deadpool, falls in this kind of same space. He's a decent diver, but, like, he can die so insanely quickly. You can start rolling your combo, and if you get in a good position, you're going to roll the enemy team, or you're just going to instantly die and your ult's wasted and you're useless for under 60 seconds. And, like, his ability to poke is really low. His ability to set up dive is also not the greatest. He can't wall climb. Um, his mobility is tied to his main damage source. It's really awkward. I think the character does have a space. I do think he needs a little bit more help, and I think he needs the other dive characters to be a little bit brought down. But I don't think I think this character can carry and can win, but he is niche. He's really niche. You need to be really an expert at this character, and you need to play him in specific comps where he can actually work and pop off. And here's our previous Queen of Poke. I think Hela's terrible. She's outclassed by Phoenix in her own role completely, and Phoenix is like the second or third best DPS after Black Cat. And she's frankly outclassed by Luna. There's zero reason to pick Hela when Luna's open. I don't think the Namor team up is enough to warrant it. It's just the anti heal and the ability to roll with the dead squids. Yeah, I don't think you should ever really be picking Hela. I think there's no reason to pick or ban Hela. I think Hela is just mediocre, and there's much better picks. There's just much better picks than Hela. Similarly goes to Iron Fist. I think this character is good. When the enemy are running a lot of tanks, his tank busting ability is really good, especially on characters that don't have that much mobility and are kind of just going to sit there, like Strange or Magneto or Groot even. His ability to sustain and stall is really good. Like, imagine having Captain America and Iron Fist just stalling permanently. It's going to be frustrating. But his damage is just so low against squishies. His burst is mainly his kick. If he does that and he already used his block, he doesn't have any survivability. He can just get blown up. So he needs to time that really, really well. On tanks, he can brawl them, but there's a lot of poke that can just come at him because the main reason he can brawl is when he uses his block. So that's his main defensive tool, and then he needs to kick out, basically disengaging. So there's some issues with his kit. I think he needs more neutral damage, less percentage damage. I think they need to bring him back to older Iron Fist, or they need to fully commit to him being this tank buster, change the way his kick works, give him another ability that's gonna help CC a tank, something like Wolverine. I really don't know. I think the character needs a little bit more work to work him. I still think Elsa is really strong. I know she got a nerf. I know the nerfs have been significant. Her poke's still really good. Her ult's still an easy win con. Can kill through some of the best support ults in the game. The ability to throw people off the map is always going to be good. It's always going to be strong. Yeah, it just, I think Elsa is now in a really, really good state. I'm glad she's in this pick ban state, maybe leaning on the strong side. I don't think the nerfs hit her hard enough to remove her from the meta. I don't think you need to be banning her, but she's a really good pick when you need that brawl poke type of style, which is where she should be sitting in that brawl poke rather than just pure poke, which is where she was excelling at before. Next up, Iron Man. I think Iron Man is a little bit slept on. I think this character has a lot of potential, especially with Ultron triple support. His ability to melt is really strong, but he is hard countered by Phoenix, hard countered by something like Strange, something like Magneto, um, something like Sue Storm. I think that's the main issue with Iron Man, and his neutral damage without his beam is not that strong, and his ultimate is like one of the easiest ults to counter. In a game where now you're not playing for ult cycles, but your ults are really important because you don't get that many of them. A character that just doesn't have an ultimate is not going to do that well. But pocket it with the Ultron drone, maybe with the Sue Storm, and maybe with the damage boost from Mantis, I think this character can really do some stuff. I don't think he's mediocre. I think he's a niche, and I think you do need to build a comp around him. But if you do, I think Iron Man can do some stuff, especially because he's good into this dive brawl type of style. Just fly up, just shoot at divers, just mark them really easily. You can see them from far away, and his damage beam when somebody's actually diving for peel is really actually strong. Next up, we have Magik. She's kind of in this similar vein as Iron Fist. It's kind of hard for her to set up the dive because she does need to waste her own abilities for that. And she is kind of that brawl dive type. She can stay longer in the fight, but her disengage is kind of weaker because once she uses her dash and her like teleport, she doesn't really have an ability to like extra escape. Like Daredevil can wall climb, so can Black Cat, so can Venom. There's this type of stuff, and her ultimate is just really weak. I think her ultimate needs, she needs to insta transform or get iframes when she's transforming and detransforming. Her de-transforming takes so long; she's so easy to kill there, and this is a character that's actually hard countered by Thing. She cannot move on Thing dashes, and she can just insta die. And her ability to like grab that out of the Thing, like force it, is much harder if Thing just plays around her because she needs to like full commit on a dive if she's diving. Um, but yeah, I think she's good. I think you can obviously hit top 500 with her. Many people have. She's one of the highest winning characters in the game uh, because she's really fun, and her win con in the brawl dive when she gets rolling is really good, and because she can fall back on that brawl type of style on the front line. But she just needs a little bit more love, especially in that ultimate department, which is what she's lacking. She doesn't have that big team wipe win con. That's I think the main issue with her. Don't pick Squirrel Girl. This character is absolutely garbage. Andrew needs to stop playing her. That's it. Mr. Fantastic. I think he's in the OTP tier. I don't think he is niche or comp dependent. He is not a tank. He is not a DPS. He kind of just brawls and kind of just peels. If you really can't survive dive, I think he's good to peel, and that's about it. He just isn't even that hard to kill, especially once his shift is down. Once his like fridge mode is down, I think you can just like shoot him down and just kill him. And his ultimate is really weak. I think that ultimate is insanely easy to just track and kill him in it, and you can just patty cake it very easily. Especially if he does it during an ult fight, it just does nothing. It's just a tickle ult. But yeah, you can definitely OTP him, and there's people who do OTP him to top 500, and he's gonna be bringing more neutral value than something like a Widow, because Widow needs to consistently hit her shots, get a Mantis damage boost, kill the supports, kill this guy, kill that guy. Fant can just exist and get value. That's the main difference between those two characters. Moon Knight has fallen off a little bit. I think he's still mediocre. There's still spots where you want Moon Knight to just like break some spawn holds, break some multi-tank setups. Combo with the Groot is always there. He's just a little bit weaker because he's terrible into dive. He is an absolute dive victim. He has his Ankh. Once the Ankh's down, good luck. You're just dead on Moon Knight. He has a lot of burst and he can help dive a lot. Let's say you're diving, Moon Knight can just like shoot the Ankh in the backline, shoot a couple of those whatever it's called, the boomerangs, and just like do a lot of damage. So Moon Knight does have a niche. I think he's a decent pick, and there's like spots where he can actually work and do a lot of damage in. Another thing where I think Moon Knight's kind of weaker is the fact that Namor is a really strong character right now, because anti-dive, obviously, he can mark dive before it even happens, which is really good. He can soften up Spidey, soften up Diddy, soften up Black Cat, which is really good for Namor. His ultimate is, I would say, the best combo with Groot right now. It does a lot of damage. It's an insta-kill. And naturally, it's just a lot of neutral value from Namor. He also has a, like, his primary fire is a projectile. However, it does more damage than something like a Hela projectile, a Hela hit scan. So, like, if you're good at hitting headshots on Namor, you're going to be killing people more quickly than a Hela would be also hitting those headshots. And in close range, that's relatively easy, especially with the squids and the spear and the invulnerability that he has from his bubble. So Namor is really good right now. A character that's debatable with Deadpool for being with Daredevil, sorry, for being the number one DPS over after Black Cat would be Phoenix. She is by far the strongest hit scan. Her ultimate is still insanely strong with damage boost and combos. It kills through anything. She breaks rocket amplifier, breaks Hela ult, breaks shields, which makes her much easier to get value out of, even though the ult doesn't do 250 or 275, unlike Thor. So that's really good value. And obviously, she's the best hit scan. She's also really good anti-brawl, meaning if the enemy team is grouped, her hitting the sparks, her right click, her stun, also do a lot of damage. She has an immunity, which is insanely strong with her dash. Her ultimate is a second life. She has flight. She has a lot of abilities to also deal with die when she's being dove, which is usually the weakness of poke. And if you're really good Phoenix in a triple support comp with a Mantis or Ultron pocket, you're going to be doing so much value. Another character that I would say is right there with her is Psylocke. This is the best flank character. If she goes on an off angle, she can poke really well. She has a lot of mobility. Her ult is still a really good win con. Her damage burst is really good now. She can one shot fully 275 combo, 275 characters with a combo. She's really really strong. And Psylocke's the cooldown management now on her with the primary fire consistently hitting her gets her so much value. She is back to being a top tier DPS right now. And with dive being really good, if your Venom or Cap are diving, your DD is diving, and you're poking with Psylocke, you're going to be getting so much more value because you're much safer than them. You don't have to be in the thick of it, even though your effective range is much closer than your usual poke. But she is hit scan. So it's much easier to get value. And she has the double dash, the invisibility. She can get those back with your primary fire. She's really, really strong right now. On the other hand, we have Wanda. This character has her niche spots. I think she's better than both BP and Fent. But those niche spots are really niche. I think sometimes she's good into dive because she can mark them easily and continuously do free damage because of her primary fire. And her burst with the secondary fire is also really strong. Plus the stun is really nice. And she can banish herself and get healed inside of that banish to survive that dive longer. So those are the niche moments where you can use her. Obviously, Namor's better. Obviously, Bucky can be better, depending on how well you use him. Tanks are better. Her damage on front line is really bad without the strange team up, but he is good. So there's moments for Wanda to shine. If they also can't cancel your ult can get a decent amount of value, etc. Somebody who's fallen off favor a little bit, which did surprise me, but he did get outclassed a lot, is Spidey. He is still insanely strong on certain maps. If you can pull people off the map, you are the best in slot character, even over Black Cat. Because pulling off a tank, insane value, instant space. Killing a support by pulling her off the map, or them off the map, insanely strong value. Spidey's ultimate is really good to combo with something like a Venom ultimate, something with a Cap going in, with a Strange ultimate, Daredevil ultimate. He has really good synergy with other dive characters. He has insane mobility, good combo, but he is also one of the easier dive DPS to mark because he has 250 HP and no overshield. Once you poke him a little bit, he's much, much harder to dive in with, especially when Sue can push him away and shield herself and just how damage him. Fox can CC him on the swing. Luna can decimate him if she hits the stun, and so on and so forth. So Spidey is harder to get his value off of right now, but he is still a top tier dive DPS. As you can see here, let's say we count Psylocke as flank. If Daredevil is banned and Fox is banned or Cat is banned, you're going for Spidey. He's your third best dive DPS for sure. He's still really that good. Next up, we have Hawkeye. I also don't think Hawkeye is a pick ever. Obviously better than Squirrel Girl, but his one shot is much harder to get off. He is, I think, the most susceptible to dive character in the game. He just has nothing. He has a little push, and every single dive character can re-engage after the push. And unless he's getting headshots and picking supports in the backline, he is getting zero value. It is just so easy to shut down. His damage is not high enough to warrant picking him ever. On the other hand, we have Starlord, who I think is weakest in the Pac-Man phase. However, keep in mind, if Gambit is open, Starlord is your best in slot DPS. His ultimate kills through support ultimates. It's so easy to set up, so easy to land. This character gets incredible value. His neutral is a little bit weaker than somebody like Phoenix. He needs to be in the thick of it. But he is the second best flank DPS next to Psylocke, so he can enable and play with dive much better than some other DPS can. I think Starlord is a little bit slept on. He's been always slept on. He's barely buffed and is always really good. And he's so good with Gambit. He is the best in slot DPS for Gambit. And next up, we have Storm. She's niche. I would say better than... all of these characters, but like this. Or like this, actually. Storm is niche. Her main job is to break tanks and spawn holes because of the damage boost. But she's a really slow flyer. Her ultimate is easily countered. And she just doesn't do enough damage in neutral herself to just give enough value. That damage boost is the main reason you're picking her. But her team damage boost has gotten weaker with the nerfs recently. So I don't think Storm is that good. There's a reason she has a really, really low pick rate. She's just an immobile DPS who's there to enable with the damage boost, and that's about it. Torch. I'm gonna put Torch in mediocre. I think the buffs have made him a really good flank character. There's so many better flank characters than he is, though. But with Ultron being really, really good in the meta, enables him really well, and with the dive bomb really being really good and able to cancel a lot of support ultimates, I think this character has a lot of potential. He needs a lot of work. He needs a team comp built around him. So I probably should actually lower him to needs team comp built around him because he kind of needs that Ultron, but he has a lot of potential. This character needs work to get like. I think players need to play him. I think players need to learn him a lot more because he's basically a brand new playstyle now with a dash. But I think this character has a lot of potential to work towards, especially if they reduce the cooldown on that dive bomb. I think he has a lot of potential to spring right back into the meta. Punisher is mediocre right now. The shotgun playstyle is really, really good. However, everything else about him is quite weak. His sustained damage is not that good anymore. His turret is easily obviously broken. His ultimate is easily countered by Magneto or support ultimate nowadays. You can just cut it out. You can also kill him through because a lot of supports, a lot of cycles are now kind of off because of this support ult charge change. So he is, unless he's comboing, he's not getting that much value. He can still be countered through that. But yeah, his neutral without the shotgun is not that good, and you kind of need to be insanely cracked to get the value on this character. But I think he does have a spot, a lot of pressure down main when they have something like a thing, Groot, in your front line. That's kind of where you just grab Punisher and just roll with him. He also has good anti-dive with the shotgun. He can peel really well with it, especially if you have an Emma to grab or something to CC like the Venom diving. Shotgun Punny is gonna do a lot of work there. A character that I think is slept on currently is Wolverine, especially with that Hulk team up. I think that grab is incredible. Destroying the front line and being such a menace on the front line is really, really strong. Having an Ultron drone on him can just give him so much uptime and a lot of damage, especially with the damage boost that Ultron can provide. Maybe even if you have a Mantis damage boost, he can even solo DPS there. His ult is also a decent win con, especially if followed upon and if done properly at 100 rage. So yeah, I think Wolverine is really slept on, and if Sue is banned, this guy is insufferable. Especially because the Sue Storm's push pull ability has taken a little bit of a nerf to her cooldown. It's about 10 seconds now, which kind of matches up with Wolverine's pull. So or feral leap or whatever it's called. So if those two cooldowns are mismatched and your Sue can't CC him, Wolverine is easily going to be getting a lot of value on the tanks. And finally, we have Bucky, who, with the changes that happened to him recently, is actually stronger than he was before. He actually finally has an ultimate. He does a lot of damage in neutral, especially if you're headshotting regularly. This character is actually really, really strong. I think the nerf to his the grounding on his push does allow people to escape his hook combos a little bit easier, but a good Bucky is pulling you into his backline and you're still going to be dying, especially now that he has a lot more damage. So yeah, I think Bucky is in a much healthier spot now, and I think he's back to being a really, really strong DPS. I think he was really struggling because his damage neutral is weak. He didn't have that much presence, and his just didn't have an ultimate in an ultimate-oriented game. His ult was countered by literally everything, and now you can actually get that again and again and again. So yeah, that would be my tier list for season 7.5 of Marvel Rivals. And yeah, goodbye.